We have to take diesel off the road in these big vehicles. They use an awful lot of fuel, put out an awful lot of emissions.
Welcome to The Switch. I'm Elena Casas. Heavy goods vehicles made up about 20% of the UK's transport emissions last year, and decarbonising them has been a challenge even for the world's largest automakers. Tevva was the first company to put an electric truck into production in Britain.
So this is our 7.5 tonne battery electric vehicle. The core components that most people are interested in are the batteries, of course. So we have one battery that side, one this side. Then down the centre of the chassis, that's where we fit all of our power electronics, the inverters, the DC-DC converter. And then here we have our electric motor driving a standard truck axle.
The looming ban on sales of new petrol and diesel vans in Britain and the EU from 2035 should also provide an incentive for freight buyers. But manufacturers like Tevva have been struggling. Rival electric truck makers Volta and Arrival both recently went into administration, and Tevva is now at risk if it does not find a buyer. Major manufacturers, including Ford, have also ditched plans to enter the electric truck market.
We need some way of helping commercial vehicle operators make that step. You know, they buy these vehicles to do a job and to make money, so their bottom line is really important. So they've got a real keen understanding of the day one price of the vehicle, the running costs, you know, the energy costs, the maintenance, but also that feeds into that financial equation is the incentive regime that's around that, perhaps the penalty regime if you don't make the switch. And all of that isn't quite in place yet, so it's still very difficult for someone to make the jump and make it make sense on their bottom line.
What do governments need to do in order to encourage this switch to electric HGVs?
There's a whole range of things that we really need the government to do to accelerate this. So we talked about the incentive schemes. That needs to be much more generous to really make people want to be part of it. The infrastructure piece needs to be better planned and faster to roll out. But then there's also incentivising zero emissions trucks should go hand in hand with almost disincentivizing diesel trucks.
This model of electric truck carries 110 kilowatt hours of battery, enough for a range of at least 100 miles, before it then needs a 5-hour charge. The power needed to carry heavy loads makes it tricky to scale up battery technology to travel further.
When you add lots of kilos of batteries, that diminishes the work that vehicle can do. So we know that people worry about range, sometimes rightly, sometimes wrongly, and then the payload thing on top of that really makes fleet buyers concerned whether an electric truck can do the job they need it to do.
How do you persuade drivers and commercial buyers to make the switch?
The persuasion is twofold, really. First of all, they need to get in the truck and drive it. Once they've experienced the smoothness of the power delivery, the smoothness of the ride without any engine vibrations, the quietness, that sort of whets their appetite. The running costs are a fraction of what it is to run a diesel vehicle. Grid electricity is comparatively really, really cheap. I know domestically we talk a lot about the price of bills going up and down, but compared to diesel, yeah, it's much, much cheaper to run.
Tevva hopes to bring prices down if it can manufacture on a larger scale, and it does have a plan to move beyond the limitations of battery power by introducing a hydrogen fuel cell, although that's still at the prototype stage.
And what that basically does is two things. It gives you more range, so you've got more, you can put more energy on the vehicle, so you can go further or you can power more equipment or whatever, and it allows you to carry more payload. Because the hydrogen is more energy dense, you can carry more energy per unit of mass. If you're doing longer haul, carrying heavy things, doing more energy intense work, batteries are going to be a bit of a struggle for a while.
How important is it that we make this switch quickly?
We have to take diesel off the road in these big vehicles. They use an awful lot of fuel, put out an awful lot of emissions. I'm still really optimistic that this is the right way to go. It has to happen. There's sort of legal mandates for it. It's the right thing to do for the climate emergency. From talking to customers, fleets really get this and really, are crying out for vehicles like this to do the job.